See it as the crow flies, or the plaintive gull that inscribes morning with a call, cursive and guttural, on a contour from the salt marsh to the 40-foot, high over twin filaments, along which green grubs caterpillar outward in, by a sea of beaten metal. See it again, as memory soars over towers, driven like rivets to hold down the hem of the bay. Over bandstand and pagoda, terraces, cloistered squares, to where harbour mandibles enfold the skittishness of metronomes. Red eye, brash cymbal, brass cymbal, scribbling glamour over the brackish waves' squabbling clamour, rising monstrance out of a garrulous sea, out of a querulous sea's remonstrance. Light diffracts into the harbour's clutter of clattering metronomes. A rancorous dissonance to wind's unremitting tinkling, wind's unrelenting chattering, a cantankerous resonance, straits shatter, striated, refractory light fractiously reflects.
At the 40-foot. Hard not to think of them, with the moon the pearl knob of a pendulum over a sea plated with lunar glare. Or there, at the end of the jetty, in the howling wind, one equinox never to be forgotten. Or here, at the foot of the Ompalus, first light honeying the sandcastle, or the watcher in the tower. Hard not to think of them, with mind as restless with dead voices as dawn with the catch cries of gulls.
Maritime history. Fitting, its museum should be in a deconsecrated church in Kingstown, named for Fat George, uncle to the famine queen. And what is maritime history for a Caliban people with no Lepanto, no Trafalgar, nothing outside the legendary or incidental? The Imram, the Lower Gavalia, the Titanic or Lusitania, the long ship pushing clinkered ribs into River Silk, the longing for the return of the repressed, the U-boat, the wrecked armada landing in Bantry, Kinsale, Killala. No history, mass on the foreshore, the Curragh and the Creel cart, ghost fleet of a silent people, the land expelled in dry wretches. Those years the drills were famine-stalked, with wind bellying the canvassed west. They made bare ballast in the holds of coffin ships, in whose wake the throats of our harbours closed. Stations. The Inshankas of the Dart, a grammar lesson, imperfectly remembered, imperfectly erased. Tracks on a chalk-haunted board.
Balia an Vóhel, a Charig Chog, Ring na Mara, Knock an Salin agus Balin na Monach.
Consonants, say, are the coupling of Tishel Ginnadoc. Fragments in all the stations.
Contourt, Trainica Lewis ag a wall heart. No dain foul an Erin road. Fan tape here than Lena Bui.
The map of a city is a palimpsest. History lessons imperfectly erased. The bay a crab claw. Hovid to Delagai. Street names like relics in strata. Edwardian terraces. The Royal St. George. And pillar boxes. Vior, Eor, Geor. Post-colonial.
Cada escritor crea sus precursores. Borges. Sentinels in a time of revolution. 16 from Bray to Sandyman. From Sutton, another dozen. Stone rivets, granite buckets. For Boney was on the sea, and the Irish not to be trusted. Bloomsday, 1804. The order signed by Pitt the Younger. 100 years to the day, from platform for ordnance to artist's squat. For every author creates their precursors.
Shelves are sedimentary. Layer upon layer, the strata enclose artifacts of memory, of history, biography. To dig here is to carry out an archaeology of the imagined. Dance of thought and language by which thought becomes visible, stretching the sinews of syntax. The verb treads the nodal nouns, so the net approximates the motion. The pen fixes it, casts its shadow on the page an instant. A contour map, a set of coordinates, an anatomy to guess at until the cast begins to dance. Mind is a hermit crab, fingers without a hand that scuttle through detritus, scavenger, salvage merchant, inhabiting such shards it finds along the salvage foreshore. So this building, its wing encased now in modernity, so this poem, so this city.
Like entering a cave in which an echo has been trapped, an antiquarian's chamber, say, with an air of the Wunderkammer, or of Cornell boxes, paths called cages of the infinite, to sift through bric-a-brac, relics the countless tide has left, old records, sailors' knots, stamps, coins, imperial weights, a liver-spotted looking-glass that looked on licensed premises, old maps and playbills, lamps, a Bakelite telephone, the bones of time, to cobble out of such relics a preterite.
Memory persists, stubborn as a crustacean in the seawall's flank. Alluvial time caught in a sand trap by the myriad tide. Relict of childhood calcified, pale as a daytime moon. It sounds a chamber, ghosted with shrieks, echoes, a jostle of elbows. White bodies, a thin wind shivering the choppy surface. Froth in the corners, wind blown. Images distance has shivered. Once a bearded man in the changing rooms, erect as an exclamation. And from the high dive once, the gargantuan slap of a belly flop.
The sky, a draining estuary, the bay at low ebb, where a party of oyster catchers darts back and forth like animated sewing machines to tack down the tidal tracery. All day, the primordial fester of the marsh offends the palates of passing darts. In there, time stagnates, a moorhen judders, then a heron pterodactyls down to stalk the shallows, hunches, patient as a pedant, over the glaucous surface. Image of the poet.
Dusk. The sea more luminous than sky, as though it contains the memory of day. Across the sound, the city hums like a circuit board. Poolbeg and the pigeon's winking goalposts frame the sidereal drift of a freighter's pilots across Hote's fixed constellation.